Step into a time machine and let's travel back 300 million years to a world where Earth was totally wild. Welcome to the Carboniferous period, a time when the planet was covered in giant insects, and you won't believe why. Imagine dragonflies as big as crows and millipedes the size of cars. It's like a bug's dream come true. So why were these critters so enormous? Well, it's all about the oxygen. Back then, the air was supercharged with up to 35% oxygen compared to our 21% today. That extra oxygen turbocharged these bugs' growth, making them giants. But this time wasn't just about big bugs. It was a time of major changes on Earth. The continents were coming together to form a supercontinent called Pangea, and lush swamps and forests were everywhere. Now let's go on a journey back to this incredible age. Picture yourself in a lush forest filled with towering trees and strange creatures. The first thing you'd notice, those huge insects buzzing around or crawling on the ground. But what happened to them? Why aren't we dealing with giant bugs today? Stay with us to find out as we uncover the story of the Carboniferous period and its colossal insects. Let's talk about two amazing creatures from that time. First up, we have the Meganeura, which is like a supersized dragonfly with wings as wide as 30 inches. The scary part is it liked to eat other bugs and small amphibians, but you probably wouldn't want to be its snack. On the ground, you'd come across the Arthropleura, which looked like a giant millipede, growing up to 8 feet long. But the good news is, it wasn't interested in you. It preferred snacking on decaying plants instead. Let's talk about more of these creepy crawlers from the Carboniferous period. Meet the Pulmonoscorpius, a gigantic scorpion that called the swampy areas of Earth home. It could grow up to 28 inches long. That's one huge scorpion. And if that's not enough to give you the shivers, there were also enormous cockroaches reaching 4 inches in size, and mayflies with massive 18-inch wingspans. So, you'd definitely have your hands full watching out for these critters as you explored this ancient world. Now, you might be wondering, how did these insects get so enormous? Well, it's all about the oxygen. While you've been hanging around in the Carboniferous age, you might have noticed that you feel more energetic and alert, maybe even more nimble. That's because the oxygen levels in this world were estimated to be as high as 35%, compared to our 21% today. And that extra oxygen is a big part of why insects grew to such epic sizes. You see, insects breathe differently from us. They don't have a bloodstream like we do. Instead, oxygen is delivered directly to their cells through a network of tiny tubes called trachea. The more oxygen in the air, the larger these insects could become. But there's more to the story. Some scientists believe that the insects were forced to grow so large because of oxygen's dark side, oxygen toxicity. As incredible as oxygen is, having too much of it in your body can lead to the creation of unstable molecules known as free radicals. These troublemakers can harm your cells and even mess with your DNA. So it seems there's a delicate balance even in the age of giants. In the world of giant insects, size mattered. They had to grow big, or they'd run into trouble with too much oxygen, a condition known as oxygen toxicity. Getting larger helped slow down how quickly they absorbed oxygen, which made it harder for them to get overwhelmed by it. Now, if you were spending more time in this high oxygen world, you'd start to feel it too. You might experience nausea, breathing problems, and even some effects on your nervous system. So, while the giant insects were the superstars of the Carboniferous period, they weren't the only ones feeling the effects of all that oxygen. This era was also called the Coal Age, and that's because of the massive coal beds that formed when ancient forests decayed. These coal beds are a big source of our energy today, and guess what? Many of the fruits and veggies you see in your grocery store might be distant relatives of plants from over 300 million years ago. So you're connected to this prehistoric world in more ways than you might think. The Carboniferous period was a time of incredible change. It marked the emergence of the first seed-bearing plants, leading to more diverse ecosystems than ever before. But as you wander through this prehistoric landscape, you might spot something that looks like a dinosaur. Don't be fooled, it's actually one of the first reptiles to ever appear. Now, if you decide to stick around for a couple of million more years, you'll find yourself in the Mesozoic era, famously known as the Age of Dinosaurs. But let's get back to the Carboniferous period and talk about something else that was evolving: the Earth's atmosphere. When you first arrived, the planet had a lush, greenhouse-like climate, with warm and humid temperatures supporting those swampy forests we've been exploring. But over millions of years, things changed. The climate shifted to an icehouse Earth state. Temperatures dropped significantly and ice sheets started forming, mainly in the southern hemisphere. Why did this happen? Well, as we've been exploring this incredible period, Earth's landmasses have been slowly coming together to form the supercontinent Pangea. When landmasses this big start moving, it can seriously mess with ocean currents, wind patterns, and the global climate. As a result, the once lush rainforests started to collapse, leading to a decline in the diverse plants and creatures that thrived in them. With the rainforests vanishing, oxygen levels decreased. This was bad news for our massive insects, as they couldn't survive without higher oxygen levels to support their colossal sizes. The lower oxygen levels and drier climate created a better home for smaller insects, while early reptiles began taking over, making life much tougher for the insects. So it was a combination of shifting climates, disappearing rainforests, and the rise of early reptiles that marked the end of the era of giant insects. And that's the Carboniferous period in a nutshell. We've uncovered the world of giant insects, shifting climates, and the rise of early reptiles. As we leave this ancient time behind, remember that our planet's history is full of exciting chapters. From the past to the present, Earth's story is an incredible journey. Join us for more adventures as we explore the mysteries of our world. There are countless stories waiting to be discovered, and your curiosity is the key to unlocking them. Until next time, keep on exploring!